Hi, this is Sean Weaver with Six String Country, and in this lesson, we'll be taking a look at the next vibrato technique, building on the previous lesson we had on it. Started you out becoming familiar with just putting a little vibrato on a stationary, unbent note. The next technique will be combining, really, our first two lessons all together. So combining our lesson 1 on bending with our lesson 2 on the stationary vibrato, what we want now is to be able to bend a string up to pitch and then put a vibrato on top of that bend. And it's a really important aspect of all the great blues guitar soloists. So I've crafted a slow blues solo for you, just a 12-bar solo kind of with a B3 organ backing track and a couple simple rhythm guitar parts for you. And we'll be focusing on the solo itself and on the vibrato technique and getting into it right now. To get started with this next kind of vibrato, you need a solid foundation in string bending. So it's absolutely pivotal. Make sure that that's feeling good to you, that you're capable with bending a string and getting it to the pitch that you want it to arrive at, and that your hands are comfortable making that motion. Because here, we're going to be putting a vibrato on top of a bend, and it's I called it in the title style of Otis Rush, but it's certainly not limited to anything Otis Rush played, although Otis Rush had a beautiful vibrato, and I think of him as doing this in a lot of great solos, but you hear it in just about all of the great guys. So you need to be able to push a string up and then apply a shake at the top of the bend, which is a different motion than the stationary vibrato we explored in the previous lesson. So we're now familiar with just bending a string. We're also familiar with taking that note and just shaking it, stationary. And now we need to be able to bend that note up and put a shake on top. So there's 2 rhythm guitar parts on this, but they're just there to give some texture and some support. Again, just as we talked about on the previous lessons, and as I'm sure I'll mention again on the subsequent ones, your job as a good rhythm guitar player is to stay out of the way, to not be too loud, and to be in the pocket. It's all tabbed out for you. So it's alternated between that and then reaching my pinky up to the 7th fret. And then back. So it's not like that thing where it's regular like that. I'm just letting it breathe. There's some space. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triple. You hear how much space I'm leaving there, and that's in service of the track. It depends on how busy is the drummer playing. Of course, there's a B3 organ on this instead of bass, but what's the bass player playing, or in this case, what's the B3 doing? So 3rd fret both strings, back into 4th fret 3rd string, 3rd fret 2nd string, 5th fret 4th string. This is the lick. And then the same, fingers in the same spot again, measure 2. It's just triple at 2 and 3, 4. That's how I'm counting in a slow 4. Triple at 2 and 3 and 4. And triple at 2 and 3, 4. And then it's the same. Just repeat those 2 bars again. Then measure 5. Move your hand with the 12 and 11, 10, 8, 9 and 8. So you don't need a whole lot to sound good playing rhythm guitar. So that's the whole part. Now we'll go ahead and play it with the click. Triplet, 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 triplet. And I got a really light touch here. That's the other thing. Just like I put in the music for you. If you bash, you're fired. You don't want to be too loud, you just want to be in the pocket. In this solo, we'll be using the vibrato on the top of the bend, and once in a while I might shake a stationary note that's sustaining out. As with this series, we're building on these techniques. So again, the importance, if you're just joining, make sure that you have a solid framework in the previous lessons, because everything has been meticulously taken one step at a time and isolated. And so now that we have stationary vibrato in a previous lesson, I might do that on a given note, and certainly a lot of string bending. And now the new vibrato technique, shaking the string at the top of the bend. And I'll also be talking you through some general things I'm doing in terms of touch and tone and approach. But the main focus here is definitely on the vibrato. So starting out in measure 1, it's a slow blues in 12/8 time. Here's the thing about playing slow blues. You're probably not counting this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You're feeling it. And part of internalizing a good groove, yes, practicing with a metronome is good. Yes, practicing with a drum machine even can be good. But really, you're going to get it from working and playing along with records and then going out and playing with people. Try to find. So, same thing about, like with the stationary, you're going to get a little bit of sound of the string adjacent ringing, just like you heard there. It's all part of the game. And so, bend up the full step. I like a medium kind of vibrato, not super wide, not super narrow, not super fast, not super slow when I'm doing this kind of stuff. So that's the first note, 5th fret, bend up a whole step. And then here is my first kind of accent. The next phrase is just like a backwards kind of a right-hand raking thing, kind of like you'd hear like Stevie Ray do. And I mean, you hear a lot of great players do those kinds of phrases. When it's a slow blues, you can kind of put, tastefully, a lot of notes in the right spot. And so you're not trying to slay anyone with notes, and you're not trying to be impressive with speed. It's all just doing it at the right time. And so the phrase is just going to be out of G pentatonic. It's going to be getting my hands together, index finger at the 3rd fret of the 1st string, pinky at the 6th fret of the B string. And what I'm going to do then is my pick, it starts on an upstroke, and it drags back, and I pull off to the 3rd fret. And then I go to the 3rd string, and I start here with my 3rd finger at the 5th fret, and it's a grace note sliding in to the 6th fret, and back to the 5th fret, and pulling off to the 3rd fret, and then to the 5th fret, pull off to the 3rd fret of the 4th string, 5th fret, 5th fret of the 5th string, and then up to the 3rd fret of the 3rd string again, and then the phrase again going 4th string, and it's the 5th fret, pull off to the 3rd, 5th fret of the 5th. That's nice and about a slow performance tempo, as I said. Let's go ahead and now play it where I played it on it's still a slow blues, but the tempo of the jam along. So remember, I've got my metronome here set to the triplet. If I'm counting this in a slow 4, which is really how I count it, although technically it is in 12/8, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're hearing the other 2 clicks after my beats are the other notes of the triplet. So that's how to set your metronome for this. 1, 2, 3, 4.